Panther Nation. My name is Brandon, and this is my co-host Matt. Welcome to the BM Podcast, Season 1, Episode 1, where we talk sports and all of sports in the world of sports. So, today we have quite an array of topics. Carolina got a big win. Sports. So let's talk about the big win that Carolina got this weekend. They won against Green Bay. What did you come away from?
I mean, it was a good win. Honestly, Carolina's defense came out strong. They held Aaron Rodgers to, not what he normally does up at his standards for most of the game. Then it got into the fourth quarter, and I'm sure you've noticed their fourth quarter defense has been kind of going down a little bit. They've been giving up a lot of points, but they still came out with a win. That's what the ultimate goal is in the game, right?
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, to everyone that knows me, I am the biggest Carolina fan that you can actually find. And I was kind of encouraged, but slightly encouraged, because it was kind of disappointing, because they dominated throughout the game, and they literally, it was like 37-14 in the fourth quarter, and they just allowed Green Bay, because they played a lot of prevent defense. Now, I have a problem with that. I don't understand why the NFL teams feel the need to, play in that prevent instead of doing what got you to the ball game. Because by backing off, you're allowing them to ease their way. It wasn't like it was just 2 minutes left in the game. It was the whole quarter. They started coming back 2 minutes into the third quarter. That's where I have a problem with, because our coaching actually is going very underrated this year, because they are being way more aggressive than they usually are. That's why they're starting to see success. But if you're going to allow a team like that, because next time it might not be in our favor. If you're going to allow a team like that to stay in when you're blowing them out throughout the game, then that could bite us in the playoffs. And that's why I was really discouraged. Not to the point where, I was happy we got the win, but it was like, you can't allow, especially with Aaron Rodgers. He's lucky that they got pressure, because Aaron Rodgers was about to hit that pass. And he would have saw Randall Cobb wide open. And that would have been a comeback for them. And that is something that really, really got on my nerve. And I really just...
Well, they still won, what was the score, 37-29? So Green Bay would have still had to score another field goal at least after.
A 2-point conversion. Because it was they were down by 8.
Alright, but still, I just feel like, one, it's a long season. You got to be able to give some of your guys some rest there at the end of the game, especially if you got a big lead. You should feel comfortable putting your bench players in there and then at least being able to hold on to it, not necessarily, And also, if their team's going to pass, why wouldn't you play prevent defense? You know they're going to pass. That's the only thing they're going to do. So, of course, they're going to play prevent defense. Of course, I would be worried about it if I was giving that many points up. But it's really, from what I've noticed, just the past 2 games that they've done that for. And they've had leads the past 2 games. So, I know you want to tell them to go ahead and put the foot on their throat and just end the game. But, it's not always as simple as that. You just gotta let your guys get some rest. You gotta get those second guys some reps, and you gotta see how your defense is gonna do under those circumstances. Because at some time they're probably gonna have to play that defense and be good at that defense if they want to go far in the playoffs.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, first of all, we have a lot of injuries on our defensive line, so we're really only having a 5-man rotation. And I understand, you can't just, because if you notice, our pass rush stops coming towards the fourth quarter. That's what's been happening the last 2 games, because they're tired, they're winded. And you have quarterbacks like Andrew Luck, which we'll discuss a little later, or Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to always play in our favor. And it's going to happen when we're, in the playoffs. And it's going to be something that's going to be detrimental. I'm not saying that you have to let it all out, whatever. Just blitz them. Do what got you to the game. Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly were winning A-gaps all game long. If you go back and watch Thomas Davis was hitting Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's the most I've ever seen Carolina blitz Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. Like, they were hitting the A-gaps over and over and over again. And in the fourth quarter, why stop? Like, on that last drive, they started doing it a little bit more. That's why Thomas Davis just had to wear a dog to get off his block and step back and intercept the pass, because that was going to be touchdown right behind the guy. So I understand everything, but I would just like them to be more aggressive. And the thing I am noticing about Carolina is that they're starting to give Cam Newton a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more. I mean, he always threw long, but now they're letting him direct traffic. They're letting him, call the plays when it's crunch time. Yes, he had a bad interception. But see that's one part that I was actually encouraged about, because in past years Carolina would have had that lead and given it up like that. The last two games, the one thing good thing you can take away from it is that they kept fighting, and they never felt. I don't feel that they never felt that they were going to lose that game. So it was a great game. Aaron Rodgers is not probably, but the best quarterback in the game right now. And I understand that happened, but I'm saying if we continue to let that happen, like, all right, we'll talk about the Titans later, but if we let them do that on it, that's not a good sign. So I can understand the last two quarterbacks, but we have to show a dominate, just with the Patriots and everything, the other great teams out there, the teams that they're supposed to win, and I know that Green Bay was a good, good team versus a good team, but I'm saying the teams that they're supposed to win against, they blow them out. And that's what I want to see from Carolina. I want to see, and Cam Newton said it this week in one of his press conferences, they don't have a killer instinct yet. And I really, really think that once they get that killer instinct, nobody in the NFC can stop them, because they have a great defense. Cam Newton's playing great. Cam Newton's playing great. And they have the best linebacking core in the league. They have Josh Norman, that is probably one of the best cornerbacks, or on the rise to be that in the league. And then they have K'Wan Short, which, if you don't know, he's leading defensive tackles by a long shot in sacks. I think he has 6 sacks this year. And that's incredible for a defensive tackle, especially one that's in the 4-3 that's got to fight off double teams. Yes, and we'll comment on Carolina and that defense and the potential that they have a little later in the show. But if Carolina continues to play that way, from what I've seen, because a lot of people, the reason they didn't pick Carolina to win that game last week was because they didn't think Carolina can score 37 points. So that was an accomplishment right there, because Cam Newton is making weapons out of people that are really marginal players. The only player that he has is Greg Olsen. So, I
feel like you're also doing a disservice to not just the teams, but the quarterbacks that you guys have gone against in the last 2 weeks also, though, because everybody knows Aaron Rodgers is a gamer. And at the end of the game, he wants to win. So I feel like part of that is just his talent. And, you guys gave up those points, and they were going to give it up. I feel like they were going to get given up at some point during the game, whether it was at the beginning or at the end. Aaron Rodgers is going to get his. At the end of the day, he's going to have a stat line that looks nice. And he did. But he did it in the fourth quarter, and that's just, he wanted to win it. And this, honestly, I could say the same thing about Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, say what you want about the year he's had this year, But he's still, at the end of the game, he is good at the end of the game.
We are definitely
Every
going to
time.
talk about that later. So.
Alright,
Alright.
it's enough about that one.
All right. Well, what we got next for you? We have this is a topic that I think is interesting. A lot of people will disagree with me, but is Cam Newton the MVP through week 9?
No.
Explain.
Tom Brady is. And it's pretty simple. He's got, over 2,000 yards passing. He's got 22 passing touchdowns. He's only got 2 interceptions, and he's completing almost 69% of his passes. And now you said Cam Newton is, he's got, I think,
He's got
15, 14 touchdown passes this year, 9 interceptions, and he's only completing 53% of his passes, which I will say some of that's due to the supporting cast that he has. But, no, if anybody's, the defense is more the MVP than Cam Newton is. Because the defense, or I would even say Josh Norman, to even put it shorter, if we're going to put it on one person. But, no, Cam Newton, he's done well, and he's shown a lot of progress, and I think he's definitely, put himself up in that conversation with some of the best quarterbacks that play. But, is he the MVP? No, because I put Andy Dalton over him right now.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Name a legit receiver that's on Carolina right now. A legit receiver. Who do you classify as a legit receiver that's on Carolina?
I mean, that's fine.
Can most people name receivers on Carolina?
That's fine, though. But if Cam Newton is as good as what you say he is, he makes players out of them, right? Is that not what Tom Brady does? Did Tom Brady not make Julian Edelman?
Julian Edelman.
Who was Julian Edelman?
Julian Edelman. Carolina will take Julian Edelman any day of the week.
And he wouldn't perform the same way.
He
just like who was Wes Welker before he came to the Patriots? He was a receiver that had 800 yards as his career high before he got to the Patriots. Who was he before that? Where did Julian Edelman go to college?
I have no idea.
Okay,
but
Tom Brady made that man. Just like Tom Brady does. Tom Brady has made a living off of making more out of less talent. The only real talented receiver he's actually had is Randy Moss. Other than that, he's had guys that I feel like he's made better. Now, I'll give you Gronkowski, of course, but you guys have Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is right there next to Gronkowski. He is almost as good, and you can't tell me he's not, because he is. He's just putting up those numbers. He is. And, and now I will say, yeah, Cam Newton can run the ball and this and that, but I just still say that Tom Brady has done, the year he is having, we haven't really seen it. The only last time we saw it was when Aaron Rodgers won the MVP a couple years ago, when he was throwing no interceptions and was about to break the record for most touchdown passes until they took him out. But this is that kind of year that Tom Brady's having. And Cam Newton's just not doing that. And I think he gets a lot of help from his defense.
Okay. Now, some people that know me call me a Patriots hater. Not a Patriots hater. And Tom Brady, yes, he's a great quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback. But you say what you want, but look at Tom Brady and look at how many passes beyond 20 yards. I'm saying my point to you is he dumps it off and they do it. And you can go look up whatever information you want to look up, how many passes he actually has, like downfield. He's a great quarterback, but I guess that's not his fault because of the system, because he is just taking what's there. But what I'm saying is, Tom Brady by far has better weapons than Cam Newton, and yes, he had that one game where everybody was dropping everything, but Cam Newton, if you look at in past years, Cam Newton accuracy was a huge deal. this year, if you look at like most of his passes, he's overthrown a couple. What quarterback has? But most of his passes have been there. Now it's up to the receivers if they can catch it or not. Ted Ginn, if you're listening, I don't know why I'm telling you right now. We need to get you some hands. We need to get some extra mix for him, like something sticky on it, because that boy, he be dropping wide open passes. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago against the dang on Colts, wide open pass just ran in his hand. I'm not trying to revisit that crap, but okay.
So you're telling me Cam Newton should be the MVP
Cam
because he throws the ball down the field?
No, Cam Newton should be the MVP because what he's working with, and matter of fact, all right. Let me say this. If put Tom Brady's team on paper, put Cam Newton's team on paper. Now, what we're gonna do is take away Cam Newton. Take away Cam Newton. Take away Tom Brady. What team, if there had to be an undefeated team, what team, because if you say our defense, because our defense still was giving up points, and if you take away Cam Newton and you take away Tom Brady, I guarantee you Tom Brady's team will be still a great team, or at least a very good team. You take away Cam Newton from this team, it's not even close. Like, they might be a 4 or 5 win team, and that's the biggest difference. And then I know I'm saying something different because he's the MVP of his team, but I'm saying if you take away both of those quarterbacks, who has the better team? And I'm not saying, and it's not even close.
It might still be that way, yeah, but that doesn't mean that Tom Brady's still not the MVP just because he's got a better team around him. What he's doing, there are guys that have more talent around him, like Peyton Manning. There are plenty of players that have that kind of talent around them that are not putting up those numbers. Tom Brady, you are totally discrediting what he is doing this year when you're saying he's not the front runner for MVP. Then I'm still going to go and say and put Andy Dalton ahead of Cam Newton.
Andy Dalton
has players, yes, but they had those same players last year. The only difference between that team last year and this year is that, Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, is balling. He is throwing the football better than he's ever thrown it. Just like Cam Newton's throwing the football, better than he's ever thrown it. But I think that what Andy Dalton is doing, he has made the same strides that you're talking about Cam Newton doing. And I still feel like, though, that Andy Dalton means more to his team's success. Right now.
Andy Dalton means more to his team's success. When Cam, even if you put that defense that we have, and our defense is great, but like I said, you can even go past the Seattle game. The last few games, they haven't been playing up the stuff, but we have had injuries and all that kind of stuff. But if you say Cam Newton means more, if Cam Newton got hurt, okay, I will say this: we do have one of the better backups in the league in Derek Anderson, so they won't be so far off. But without the receivers we have, Devin Funchess had a great game last week, and what he has done nothing the whole year. Devin Funchess has had a great game, and that's just showing Cam Newton, just like what Tom Brady was doing, and that's why I say I think he's going to be a really great quarterback moving forward, because Tom Brady, just like he gave Tom Brady for making receivers out of nothing, he had literally nothing.
As far as I'm concerned, you still got to put up the numbers to win the MVP. You can't just because your team is undefeated and you're playing with crap players, that does not mean you automatically get the MVP. Just because you're making something out of nothing. You've got to not only make your team better, you've got to put up those stats too if you want to be MVP. You're not talking about, just, best team or this and that. You're talking about the most valuable player in the NFL. You're talking about the dude that you think is the best player in the NFL. And to me, it is not Cam Newton. It should be hands down Tom Brady. So I feel like you're just on that Cam Newton bandwagon. So
do you think what associates the MVP is just stats? Because I'm looking at
it's team success plus stats. It's both. you just because you are the quarterback on the undefeated team, even though you had a guy that only threw 20 more touchdown passes and threw actually half the interceptions by the end. I'm talking about the end of the year, what I feel like it'll probably end up being. How do you say no to that? I'm just wondering. How do you say no to that?
Okay, I understand that, but I'm looking at the physical, like the play. Like, maybe it is because this is the best Cam Newton has played thus far in his career. But
yeah, it's.
I see it as like he's playing like, I mean, literally. If just say this statement out loud, and I've said this to you before. Ted Ginn is the number one receiver. Think about that, viewers. Ted Ginn is the number one receiver on an NFL football team. Now, does that even sound right? I mean, good Lord, like Ted Ginn. I mean, the only good thing about it is if he gets the ball in his hand, then maybe he can do something with it. But the chances of him getting it in his hands is, but. All right, Campbell Nation. We have 350 teams. We have the Bengals, we have the Patriots, and we have the Panthers, of course. Which one, in your mind, can go the longest or either get to that undefeated mark?
Honestly, this is tough. This is really tough for me. I mean, because, of course, you still got the two left in the AFC, and it feels like it's laid out for the Panthers in the NFC, but I still feel like Green Bay's going to be a tough out, and I also feel like Arizona is a team that a lot of people tend to forget about. Arizona's got a good defense, so they can do some damage. But I also, in the AFC, I feel like I like the Bengals. I don't know. It feels like they're just kind of having that year where they might do some things. They've got the quarterback, they've got the receiver, they've got a running game, they've got a defense, and they are set everywhere. They can cover, they can tackle, and they can do anything they want to on offense. So they can play that grinded out game, and they can play that high flying, scoring points anytime they want kind of game. The Patriots are the Patriots, of course. Still, they're going to be tough to beat, but I don't know. I just kind of got this thing about teams going back to back Super Bowls. I don't see that happening. If I had to pick one right now, I would go with the Bengals.
Okay, well, let me just say this. First of all, Carolina has the easiest schedule in the regular season for the undefeated mark. The teams that are left on their schedule, they have Tennessee, they have the Redskins, they have the Cowboys, they have the Saints, they have the Falcons, the Giants, the Falcons, and Buccaneers. Now, the only team that I could see giving Carolina a chance, and this is to knock them off, and that's because he's going to be back, is the Cowboys. Now, it pains me to say that because I'm not a big Cowboys fan, but that's the only team that I can see that could actually give us a chance at knocking us off, because the Titans, they have a rookie quarterback. The Redskins are the most up and down team in the NFL right now. The Saints, they'll play you good, but that defense is horrible. The Falcons, I feel like, and they have a great running back that they found, but I don't feel that Matt Ryan has played great football right now, and plus their defense isn't too great either. And the Giants, I just thought about it. I feel like that the Giants would have a great offense, but still, like the teams that I'm naming out, their defenses, I feel like would let them down if there were to be an undefeated team.
Pierre Paul coming back, possibly could make a little noise. We'll see how he does with that.
Now, me personally, I don't think none of the teams are going undefeated, and that saddens me to say as a Carolina fan. I don't think any of the teams are going undefeated. But because I feel that Carolina might get knocked off twice. But with the way they're playing though, like they have great defense and the offense. See what Carolina was used to, not doing in the past. They used to have a great offense, a great defense, and the offense not being able to put up. But now the offense is catching up with the defense, and that's what makes Carolina a little tougher out. So, but once again, I think that Carolina would have the easiest way, but I don't think any team is going undefeated. Not even the Patriots. I know y'all Patriots fans, yeah. Not even the Patriots. All right, so all right, now we have next up for discussion. Now this is a dicey topic to me. Like, all right, we're gonna link these two together because we have two questions that a few people have actually asked about. So we have the Andrew Luck out for the Colts. Now we have the Andrew Luck out for the Colts, and then we're also going to talk about his greatness and is he overrated? Now, Andrew Luck being out for the Colts, they had Matt Hasselbeck come in, won him a couple games. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think he's good enough to float for a little bit, especially in the division that they play in. Now, is it ideal? Of course not. But I think they could be all right. They could come out of that either, depending on how many games he misses, 500, and still be fine in the division that they play in. Now, as far as his greatness is, obviously this year has been a down year for him, but again, you want to look at the stats. He's still 1,800 yards. He's got, 13, 14 passing touchdowns, I think 14. He has turned the ball over a lot this year. That's his big thing. He's thrown 12 picks and he's had a fumble get away from him. And that's been sort of a recurring theme with Andrew Luck, is that he seems to turn the ball over. And he didn't do it so much his second year, but his rookie year he threw 17 interceptions, I believe. And then last year he threw 14. I just feel like some of that is, one, no running game. There's never been a running game there, so he's always been asked to throw the ball, and he's had nobody to take the pressure off of him, really, And I will dispute the talent that he has at wide receiver with a lot of people, because I just don't think that T.Y. Hilton is as good as a lot of people seem to think he is. I don't think that, he had Reggie Wayne his first couple of years. I miss him because I'm sure Andrew Luck does too. It was a great security blanket. His greatness, I think he's a great player. I feel like the turnovers come from the confidence that he does have in himself. He thinks he can make every throw, and most of the time he can. He's been able to do that in the NFL. And this year, it's just, I feel like the pressure's gotten to him a little bit more than he's used to. It's getting there a little bit sooner. And it's just not been a good year. And I feel like every player, they're going to have one of those years where they don't play as well. No, he's not having that year that everybody thought he was going to be, the Peyton Manning this year. I don't know why everybody just automatically threw that onto him. But he still does a lot of things great. And for all his mistakes, he still almost came back and won and beat the Panthers the other week. And he beat Denver last week. So I think he's still a good quarterback. I think he's just hitting a rough patch.
Well, first of all, let me address the Andrew Luck being out, because we don't wish injury on anybody. So I hope he actually gets back, to full strength. But when the Colts, when they went with Matt Hasselbeck, they to me look more efficient. Now, you can say that it might be because Matt Hasselbeck don't really take a lot of deep shots and all that kind of stuff. But to me, he looked more efficient because you got to see, yes, Andrew Luck was having the line, all the pressure in the world and all this kind of stuff. But Matt Hasselbeck was behind the same line. His release, and I guess it was a veteran thing because he knew that the line wasn't that great, so he had to get the ball out. That's why it wasn't a lot of deep shots.
I feel like his coaching changes the plays for him too. They're going to get the ball out of his hands faster.
True. But I feel like, and this is just me, is that Andrew Luck learned a little bit about while sitting on the bench. Because if you notice, the last couple of games that he actually was in, even if you go back to the Carolina game, it was a few bonehead plays that he made and everything like that. But he's getting the ball out a lot sooner than when when he was just holding on to it forever in the pocket. And then I will say that some of his receivers, a lot of the time, don't get great separation. So I'm not going to put it all on him, but I will say, as for the overrated, because when he came out of the draft and everything, everybody was pronouncing him this Hall of Fame great quarterback. And to me, if he really wants to be that way, I'm not saying he doesn't have the talent to, but if he really wants to be that way, he has to clean up the turnovers, because some of the turnovers he makes are just like right. He stares his receivers down and he just throws it right to him, and that's something that he has to clean up, because he's second in the league since he came in the league in turnovers. I'm talking fumbles, picks, and everything to Mark Sanchez. So, that is something. If you want to be a great player, he's a good player right now, but if he wants to ever reach that greatness, he has to clean up the turnovers. So, now let's look at like some of the games that are coming up this week. The first game we have is, let me pull this up really quick. All right, the first game we have is Detroit versus Green Bay. But who do you think is going to win and why?
I feel like this is an easy one. I feel like Green Bay's going to win because they're better.
Well, I guess we're straight to the point. All right, and now I'll take Jacksonville versus Baltimore. Now, surprisingly, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars, if you look at the talent they've given, unlike a lot of organizations, they've given their coaches a chance and, to groom their players and draft their players. And they are establishing a really talented roster. So Jacksonville, they have a potentially good quarterback and have a lot of talent around him. And I can't see that, Baltimore's defense is just so horrible. I don't see that actually happening. Now, let's go with Miami versus Philadelphia.
That's kind of a tough one for me, honestly. I feel like Miami's sort of underrated, but I'm going to have to go with Philly on this one. I feel like DeMarco Murray's been running the ball a lot better these last few weeks. He just felt like he had to get eased into it a little bit, but he's been running the ball and actually receiving the ball in this Chip Kelly offense the past couple of weeks, and he's done pretty well, and I feel like that'll continue on.
All right, and I'll take Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Now, this one is the hardest game of the week for me, because if Josh McCown starts, I'm kind of leaning towards Cleveland, but Big Ben, he isn't playing. He's out to 2 to 3 weeks. He practiced. Well, if Big Ben plays, it's Pittsburgh. But if Big Ben is out and Josh McCown starts, I got to go with Cleveland, because yes, that defense is horrible. D ain't gonna win. God knows how much yards he'll probably get. He'll probably get 300 yards because their run defense is horrible. But I see Josh McCown is playing probably. To me, he was always a backup quarterback. But right now, he's playing the best in his career right now. And Gary Barnidge came out of nowhere, old Carolina player. He's playing lights out right now. So I see Cleveland taking it if Big Ben is out. So now we got Chicago versus St. Louis.
I might have to go with St. Louis on this. My man Gurley has been going off, and I think that's going to continue. Chicago's defense isn't that great. Now Jay Cutler has been playing pretty well here of late, but I'm still going to have to go with St. Louis. I think they're a more physical team that'll come through with it.
All right, now we have Dallas versus Tampa Bay. Again, a pretty tough one, but I'm going to go with Dallas getting their first win since Tony Romo was out. This has been a really hard game because Jameis Winston has actually been playing well. But, I can't see Dallas not winning a game when Tony Romo was out. Not one game. They have to get, if they want to stay in this division, they have to win at least two. He's coming back, November the 22nd or something like that?
Week 11.
Week 11. Okay, so they have to get at least one game in the next 2 games. So this is the game I'm choosing for. All right, so we'll go with New Orleans versus Washington.
I'm gonna have to go with New Orleans on this one. Honestly, that offense has been on point, and Washington's defense has not been there of late. And honestly, I can't even speak towards their offense right now because they can run the ball. And
You're not scared about their defense?
their defense has not been really that
No, I'm
great.
talking about New Orleans defense.
I think they can give up as many points as they want to and outscore. I think they'll be all right. Yeah, they just got by Eli throwing 6 touchdown passes. I think they'll be okay.
Okay. Well, we got Minnesota versus Oakland, and to me, it all depends on Teddy Bridgewater. He's in the concussion protocol, but this year they've been really strict on it. So you really haven't seen, if somebody went in that protocol, usually, like Luke Kuechly missed 3 games. Usually you see them at least miss 1 game because they're trying to be really strict, trying to be super protective. So I would have to go with Oakland. Derek Carr has been playing, and he's a very underrated. His second year has been lights out. He put up 4 touchdowns and no interceptions against that vaunted Jets defense. He put up 4 touchdowns last week. He's playing incredibly well, and you got Amari Cooper is just playing lights out. So we have the Kansas City versus Denver.
I'm going to go with the upset on this one, honestly. No Talib. I feel like Denver's going to be kind of down a little bit, too. They just lost one. And honestly, Kansas City hasn't lost since Charles went down. And I feel like they've been playing really good football. I think they might sneak this one away from Denver.
All right, we got New England versus the Giants. Now, like I said, people claim I'm a hater. Not a hater. But Tom Brady hasn't won against the Giants since 2007, but it wasn't the Super Bowl when it counted. It was the regular season game, and he barely won. So you count, and they played, not every year, but pretty regularly. So Tom Brady has only beaten, in his career, the Giants twice. And, Eli just has his number. Eli can throw how many picks he wants to throw, but he just doesn't care. And he's going to come back. So I really have a feeling, and I might be wrong, but I really have a feeling that the Giants might end up getting him. Odell Beckham is ridiculous right now. So we got Arizona versus Seattle. That's the time.
This is a good one, honestly. Honestly, Carson Palmer's been dealing this year. Arizona's defense is still a good defense, one of the best defenses. So is Seattle's, but Arizona's been running the ball really good so far this year. They got Chris Johnson, CJ 2K. Not so much anymore, but he's good. And I think that they're going to find a way to get it done. Seattle's not that same team everybody was scared of the past couple of years.
All right, so we have Houston versus Cincinnati. Now, this is the Monday Night Football game. This really isn't a hard one for me because I really believe I know that Cincinnati is the better team, but this could be an upset. This could be a team that they sleep on because they don't really they're not nowhere as near talented as them, but this could be a team that they sleep on. But I can't go with Houston. But this is the one that really scares me the most because I feel that the Bengals are on a high right now. So they are. So I'm going with the Bengals, but like I said, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. And the last one, and we both can weigh in on it, is the Carolina versus Tennessee. Now, now, who do I think is going to win this one? I wonder who. If Tennessee win, I will probably streak in the street right now because I'm telling you right now, Tennessee, first of all, they got a rookie quarterback. And I know he's been playing really good for a rookie, but he's still a rookie. Their defense, actually, a lot of people don't know, their pass defense has been pretty stingy. But I cannot see them going in and beating Carolina at Carolina. If it was at Tennessee, they might have a shot, but at Carolina, I can't see it.
I agree. I mean, simply just because I don't think Mariota's going to be able to do much against y'all's defense.
All right, so now we like. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all like fantasy football, but we're actually in a league together. You know, I play on the daily fantasy leagues, FanDuel, and I play DraftKings, so they can't say I'm biased. You know, I've been thinking of a few great starters and pointers for you guys. First of all, my key is anybody that plays the Saints defense, I don't care what quarterback it is, it can be whatever quarterback, the worst quarterback in the league, play him. Because I promise you, look, everything backs me up. What did Eli do? The previous quarterback, every quarterback that has gone against the Saints defense has been horrible. So, I mean, has been great because the defense has been so horrible. So that's one of my biggest things. And one other thing, like I said, Kirk Cousins is playing against the New Orleans. Also play Chris Johnson. He's going against the Browns. The Browns have the worst rush defense in the league. What's that?
D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah, I'm sorry. D'Angelo Williams. He's going against the worst defense.
Don't play Chris Johnson.
Yeah, don't play Chris Johnson against the Steelers. But he's going against the worst defense in the league right now. D'Angelo Williams, and every time he's been in this year, he's been crazy good. So
if he's available in your league, get him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody for him? No? All right. And our last topic is actually, we're going to go off of football for right now. And our last topic is actually Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry, and this might shock a lot of people. So when I ask you this, is Steph Curry the best player in the league right now? Does he supplant LeBron James, King James?
For me, there's a lot of things that go into best player. There's leadership. There's, can you score? Can you play defense? What does your team do when you're not on the floor? And I feel like it's still got to be LeBron James. As much as it's as good as Steph Curry has been this year, because he's been awesome. I mean, he's probably the most entertaining player to watch in the NBA right now. Is he the best player though? No. Just because it's LeBron James. LeBron James is that leader for your team. He can score anytime he wants to score. He can rebound with the best of them, and I'm talking about with 7-footers. He can rebound with those guys if he needs to, and he can pass with the best point guards if he needs to. To me, he's the best all-around player, and he plays defense too. Is the thing. He can guard the other team's best player, and that's something Steph Curry can't say. He can't always guard the best player because sometimes he's just too small. But it's tough. But I would still have to say LeBron still got that mantle for right now. Okay,
now I really respect that because I have been tossing and turning about this since we brought up the subject, and I'm kind of leaning towards Steph Curry because, first of all, you can have the best defense in the world. If he gets it up, it's a really good chance it's going in. That is, you know how demoralizing that is to have. That you got excellent defense, and then he's still popping it. All right, and you say the defense. Now that is one thing I can say is very underrated about Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he has really good defense. He has
got quick.
The quick hands.
He can get steals. And I just feel like
he might don't get as many blocks as LeBron.
I'm not even saying that part of it. I'm saying he's not that locked down defender. Like John Wall. When you look at that point guard position, that's a guy that can lock down another point guard. Curry doesn't really do that. He can get steals, but he's not really gonna lock your other player down like that and make their life that hard. He might get a couple of turnovers, but he's not going to be that guy that's going to be like that irritates you, that like wish you would get away from him. And that's
I understand that, but if you got a man
He is
that
good.
walks
I'm not
up
saying he's
from
not
half
good
court
at defense.
and shoot the ball, and you like it ain't gonna make it, and then it makes it, how can you defend that? I mean, and you saw the passing. It's not as great as LeBron. I'll give you that, but his passing is great.
Yeah,
And he is.
That's why I say it's great show to watch.
I mean, he's gonna be. Right now he's in the lead. It's really early, but he's in the lead for MVP.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
James Harden, he's coming down.
yeah. Oh yeah.
He is.
And John Wall, I wish he could just get healthy and then do because he's gonna be a great player too. But that's about it for this week, Panther Nation. So just remember, if you're not a Panthers fan, you're not a fan at all. See you next week.
That was so hard not to laugh at that.